嗯，OK，大家晚上好。我们还有1分钟就要开始啊。我们今天是讲 Shopify，形式呢还是跟以前差不多，会是先放一下第4季度电话会议的一个回放，然后呢在后面会我回答会员的针对于这个公司或者是你喜欢的其他的公司回答你的问题。OK， 所以我们现在开始。但是这个与以往不同的是，我向大家介绍这个 YouTube 的 channel 啊，比如这个是我自己用的不多，但是如果是你的英语听力不是特别好，然后听原版的有点吃力，我其实建议你去 follow 这个 channel， 叫 Alpha Street， 它主要是把公司的财报然后放到 YouTube 里面来。YouTube 现在因为有一个功能，大家可能很多人已经知道，就在这里面可以把字幕加进去而且英文呢你可以把它自动翻译成中文，就像我现在设置的一样。所以如果是英文听着吃力，可以用这种方式把很多内容翻译成中文。虽然它的翻译不是100%准确，但是我相信还是对很多朋友会有帮助。当然这不光是这个频道，其他的频道也是一样，就它如果原文是英文的，多数现在都可以翻译成中文，所以大家如果有兴趣的话可以去尝试一下。所以我一会儿就会放这个频道的它4季度的电话会议，然后呢我习惯是放的速度比较快，因为通常人说话速度要稍微慢一些，所以我现在放的速度会是1.25倍。如果大家觉得这个速度太快，请发信息告诉我一下，我可以再调整回来。OK， 那我们现在就开始。
Report in U.S. dollars, so all amounts discussed today are in U.S. dollars unless otherwise indicated. With that, I turn the call over to Harley.
Thanks, Katie, and good morning, everyone. The digital commerce revolution, which accelerated as a result of the pandemic in 2020, continued in full force in 2021. The direct-to-consumer and omni-channel commerce trends that got supercharged with COVID were reinforced as more consumers bought directly from their favorite brands, engaging in unforgettable shopping moments that are possible when commerce is everywhere. The evolution in commerce that fast-forwarded over the past 2 years offers more selling opportunities to makers, creators, influencers, and curators. These entrepreneurs are ready. Their resilience and our drive to build them the best products for modern commerce put Shopify and our merchants out ahead. We closed 2021 with annual revenue nearly triple 2019 levels. Our merchant base nearly twice as big as 2019, as the share of merchants outside of North America continued to grow as part of our mix over the past year. More than 14,000 merchants on Shopify Plus, with approximately 4,000 of these coming on in 2021, the strongest year ever for standard upgrades, as well as new merchants joining the platform. And our merchants GMV more than doubled 2019 levels, reaching $175 billion in 2021. In Q4 of 2021, our merchants had their most successful Black Friday Cyber Monday selling period, generating $6.3 billion in GMV, significantly outpacing growth in the broader e-commerce market. In 2021, nearly 600 million shoppers made a purchase from a Shopify merchant, up nearly 31% from 2020. 7 companies that grew their businesses on Shopify reached a new threshold for growth by becoming publicly traded. And we got stronger, growing Shopify's team to 10,000 people, enthusiastically taking on the big opportunities ahead of us. Shopify's impact comes from the combined power of our total offering, our infrastructure, platform, merchant solutions, and our partner ecosystem. This is coupled with our belief that the work we do creates value not just for merchants, but for everyone who has the privilege to interact with them, our partners, our communities, our shareholders, and more. Our merchant-first, product-led approach keeps us at the center of commerce and building the future for entrepreneurs. And today, I will discuss 4 key investment themes for 2022 to further future-proof our merchants by giving them superpowers. First, in building buyer relationships. Second, going global. Third, going from first sale to full scale. And finally, simplifying fulfillment. Starting with building strong buyer relationships. As the lines between on and offline commerce blur and consumers seek direct relationships with brands, we will continue to innovate so merchants can meet buyers and serve their customers wherever they are. As you saw last week, Shopify merchants in the US will be among the first to be able to accept contactless payments simply by using iPhone. And with our Point of Sale Pro offering, which we introduced in 2020, our merchants can seamlessly connect their offline operations to their centralized dashboard, giving them a single view of their business across every sales channel. This allows merchants to offer buyers an easy way to shop, whether that's buy online, pick up curbside, or shopping in person at their favorite store. More merchants benefited from these features, with the number of locations subscribing to Point of Sale Pro nearly doubling in Q4 2021 versus the same period in 2020. In 2021, we expanded availability of our new Shopify Point of Sale hardware with integrated payments to retail merchants in the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, the Netherlands, and Germany, and have entered Belgium, Denmark, and Spain so far in 2022. In Q4, we saw healthy adoption of our point of sale hardware in North America, as well as in the new geographies we entered last year. And with more merchants around the world using our world-class point of sale system, GMV from point of sale ended the year at its highest level ever. With our integrated payments hardware ready to be rolled out to even more countries this year, more brands will be able to meet their customers on Main Street while continuing to strengthen those relationships online through own channels, like their online store, email campaigns, and social media. As customer acquisition costs rise and new privacy restrictions reduce the efficacy of advertising, embedding commerce into more apps and digital services is critical to help our merchants discover new buyers. Social media and search will play key roles, and Shopify made great progress on both in 2021. In August, we introduced TikTok Shopping, bringing organic product discovery and shopping tabs to TikTok following the launch of our TikTok marketing channel in October 2020. And in October last year, we launched our Spotify channel for musicians. Since introducing our TikTok channel, more than 100,000 merchant creators have installed the channel, and merchants are starting to sell via our Spotify integration. Creators selling through these channels have more power to connect directly with their buyers in an inspired moment and offer them a great shopping experience via Shopify secure checkout while owning their brands. Our checkout using Shopify Payments is also directly integrated with Google, Facebook, and Instagram, enabling merchants to seamlessly sell across these channels. With more channels to sell on, merchants are able to manage orders, returns, and payments, all from within the merchant admin. This reinforces the strength of our back office and Shopify's position as a multi-channel leader. In Q4, thousands more merchants used these three channels compared to the previous quarter, getting them in front of billions of potential new buyers. While still early, social commerce is growing, with sales via social channel expected to double in the US by 2025, presenting a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs. More buyers are following recommendations and inspiration from the people they trust on social media and discovering new brands to fall in love with. Shopify is equipping our merchants for this future by creating a fantastic shopping experience for buyers with ShopPay, our accelerated checkout now available on Facebook and Instagram. In Q4, more buyers use ShopPay to check out on Facebook and Instagram, with sales volume growing 4 times quarter over quarter for Shopify and non-Shopify merchants. We plan to begin rolling out our fast and frictionless ShopPay checkout on Google to Shopify merchants over the coming months, making it available to all Shopify and non-Shopify merchants selling on Google later this year. The benefits of ShopPay also extends to our Shop app, our digital shopping assistant that offers buyers a delightful end-to-end commerce experience. In addition to in-app checkout with ShopPay and our buy now, pay later product, ShopPay Installments, Shop provides buyers with real-time order tracking and delivery updates and relevant product recommendations from their favorite brands. In Q4, millions more buyers enjoyed fun and easy shopping on Shop. And by the end of the year, ShopPay has facilitated a cumulative $43 billion in GMV since its launch in 2017. The benefits of ShopPay also carry over to ShopPay Installments, the most transparent installments product on the market, with no hidden fees and no late fees. GMV through ShopPay Installments more than doubled quarter over quarter, as did the number of repeat buyers using our products. I'm pleased to report that ShopPay Installments is now the largest installments provider for Shopify merchants in the US, after only 6 months of being generally available. Next, helping merchants go global. Since the dawn of humankind, the greatest hurdles and opportunities for commerce have come down to geography. Digital commerce offers a completely new way to navigate these boundaries. But with different laws, regulations, and customs in different countries, selling globally is incredibly challenging. What Shopify does best is make the complex simple, which is where Shopify Markets comes in, optimizing international selling for merchants to improve sales conversion and create a better customer experience. We began rolling out Shopify Markets in late January, and already thousands of merchants are using Shopify Markets, benefiting from features like currency conversion, language translation of store content, as well as calculation and collection of duties and taxes. We are excited to see the difference it makes to merchants. Also in January, we launched the JD Marketplace sales channel, opening our merchants up to the biggest e-commerce market in the world. China's e-commerce market is estimated to be worth $3.3 trillion by 2025. That is 5 times larger than the US market. This channel integration opens up the China market to our merchants, who can now reach JD's 550 million active users. This enables our merchants to start selling quickly, while providing end-to-end fulfillment from JD's US warehouses directly to consumers in China. It also provides them smart price conversion to local currency based on foreign exchange rates and intelligent translation of product names and descriptions. This integration removes barriers to one of the most important e-commerce markets and is a major step in solving cross-border commerce for our merchants. Third, growing from first sale to full scale. After a merchant gets started and finds product market fit with their first sales, they need the right tools to move from one phase to the next. That's why we continue to enhance and build new tools to simplify and support merchants' journey from start to scale. An example of this is simplifying business finances. In January, we rolled out our money management product, Shopify Balance, to hundreds of thousands of eligible merchants in the US. Shopify Balance helps merchants manage their business finances and their business all in one place, so they can better manage their cash flow and plan for the future. Thousands of merchants are already actively using it. As merchants build momentum, inventory and marketing need to grow alongside it. And this is where Shopify Capital comes in, offering merchants the funding they need to expand their business. In Q4, we advanced nearly $324 million, up 43% from the same period last year, outpacing our overall revenue growth for the quarter and bringing the cumulative amount advanced since we launched Shopify Capital in 2016 to over $3 billion. Once a merchant has reached scale, the challenges they face are different. Shopify Plus helps brands continue their growth journey and reach for the stars at scale. In 2021, we introduced our global ERP program so high-volume merchants can seamlessly manage the complexity of their business operations at scale. We also partnered with Global E to simplify cross-border commerce for our merchants with more complex global operations, offering them a fully outsourced solution to conduct international sales on their behalf. With our scalable and flexible enterprise offering, we saw a diverse slate of brands from a broad range of verticals, including food and beverage, apparel, entertainment, furniture, and medical devices launch with Shopify Plus in our fourth quarter, including Canadian dairy giant Saputo, global fashion retailer French Connection, dental device company Invisalign, German meal kit company HelloFresh, American furniture retailer Arhaus, and manufacturing company Kohler, brands by some of today's hottest musicians from labels Sony UK and Warner Elektra Atlantic, Adele and Cardi B, brands from French spirit company Rémy Cointreau, Westland Distillery, Maison Brillet, and Champagne Telmont, Pleasing, a celebrity brand by singer Harry Styles, and more brands from CPG Unilever. And of course, just last month, Tom Brady launched Brady Brand, his line of performance apparel designed for athletes by athletes on Shopify. In 2022, we will continue to innovate on behalf of our merchants, bringing more exciting opportunities and capabilities to these brands, enhancing their ability to sell in new and creative ways, such as selling NFTs. Selling NFTs on Shopify, which is currently in beta, creates a new way for brands, artists, and creators to engage with their communities by selling their own NFTs across multiple blockchains. And fourth and final key theme, simplifying fulfillment. Since most of what merchants sell are unlike NFTs and need to actually be handled and delivered, we are building Shopify Fulfillment Network. We are excited to update you today on what we've learned, how far we've come, and especially on where we're heading as we move out of the prototype phase and into the build phase. We are consolidating our network to larger facilities. We'll operate more of them ourselves, and we'll unify the warehouse management software that we've been building and testing over the past 18 months. We expect that these changes will enable us to deliver packages in 2 days or less to more than 90% of the US population, while minimizing the inventory investment for SFN merchants. While Amy will go into more detail as to what our evolved vision looks like from a financial perspective, I can tell you from a merchant's perspective, Shopify Fulfillment can be life-changing for their businesses. We hear from merchants that fulfillment is only something you think about when it isn't working well, and they are thrilled that they now never have to think about it. That the stockouts and pre-orders that took the shine off strong demand for their new releases largely became a thing of the past with Shopify Fulfillment. And just recently, I heard from a merchant who tells me that he sleeps even better because Shopify Fulfillment just works. Comments like these fuel our ambition, and we'll continue to explore opportunities to give merchants more visibility and control over their most important assets. In addition to the progress we made with SFN, in 2021, we also invested heavily in our extensive partner ecosystem. By eliminating our rev share on their first $1 million of app and theme earnings annually, we made it even more enticing for developer partners to build on and for Shopify. By the end of 2021, our app developer partners grew their earnings on Shopify by 76% to $411 million. And the number of app developer partners that had an app used by merchants in 2021 grew by nearly a third over 2020. Over the past 12 months, 40,000 partners referred at least one merchant to Shopify. I am thrilled by what we accomplished and eager to see the amazing solutions our partners helped build with us this year. We could not have made the strides we did last year without the strength and talent of our amazing team. Thousands of engineering, commercial, and support talent around the world joined Shopify last year to help build the infrastructure of commerce on the internet and enable more entrepreneurs around the world to reach for their economic independence. As part of this, we welcome 3 great additions to our leadership team: Alan Leinwand as Chief Technology Officer, Jess Hertz as General Counsel, and John Asante as our first Chief Information Security Officer. With their rich domain and leadership experience, we are excited to see them take their teams and Shopify to the next level. I want to welcome all the new members of our team to our rocket ship and thank everyone on board for bringing their best game, even on the toughest days. We have an incredible bench of talent, more than 10,000 strong, building the future of commerce. Together with our partner ecosystem, we are working relentlessly to bring more Shopify to the world and make commerce better for everyone.
Thanks, Harley. With commerce evolving faster than ever after the step change brought on in 2020, our merchants adapted and continued to prosper in 2021. Our past investments and execution to build the most modern technology for the future of retail paid off, with Shopify and our merchants rounding out an incredible year with a strong fourth quarter. Revenue in our fourth quarter grew to $1.38 billion, up 41% over the same period last year. Subscription solutions revenue of $351.2 million grew 26% year over year, largely due to strong growth in monthly recurring revenue. MRR grew 23% year over year to $102 million in Q4 as more new merchants joined the platform and the number of retail locations using POS Pro increased. Shopify Pos added a record number of merchants in Q4 from continued strong upgrades and new merchants, and continued to grow its mix of merchants outside of North America, contributing $29.8 million or 29% of MRR compared with 25% in Q4 of 2020. Subscription solutions year-over-year revenue growth was also impacted by the first full quarter for our new app and theme revenue models implemented in Q3, and by a change in the way we recognize themes revenue from gross to net, which reduced subscription solutions revenue by $21 million in Q4 2021, partially offset by strong Shopify Plus variable platform fee revenue growth. Merchant Solutions revenue grew 47% to nearly $1.03 billion in Q4 compared to the same period in 2020, exceeding $1 billion for the first time in a single quarter. This growth was driven primarily by strong merchant sales, with GMV up 31% year over year to $54.1 billion in the fourth quarter. This high level of Q4 GMV was the result of an extended Black Friday Cyber Monday shopping season, which began 28 days ahead of Cyber Monday compared to 19 days in 2020, strong online and offline consumer spending, and higher average order values in North America. Robust growth in merchant sales, as well as increased penetration of our expanding menu of products, drove Merchant Solutions revenue, with growth led by Shopify Payments, Shopify Capital, and rev shares from partners. We also recognized $21 million of revenue in the fourth quarter relating to non-cash consideration for Merchant Solutions product performance obligations to strategic partners. $27.7 billion of GMV was processed on Shopify Payments in Q4, an increase of 45% versus the comparable quarter in the prior year. Payments penetration of GMV was 51% versus 47% in Q4 2020, and up 2 percentage points over Q3 2021. Gross payments volume growth was fueled by strong performance by merchants on Shopify Payments, new merchant adoption, and Shop Pay penetration gains. Plus, merchants significantly expanded payment penetration as well as their share of GPV year over year, and with our POS Pro hardware with integrated payments available in 8 countries as of Q4, Shopify Payments penetration for our POS channel expanded further ahead of overall payments penetration. Adjusted gross profit grew 37% over the fourth quarter of 2020 to $700.6 million, reflecting strong revenue growth and a significantly greater mix of our lower margin Merchant Solutions revenue versus the prior year. Adjusted operating income was $130.2 million in the fourth quarter compared to $200 million in the fourth quarter of 2020, as we accelerated our investments over the prior quarter, adding more engineering and commercial talent and executing on our marketing programs. Adjusted net income for the quarter was $172.8 million, or $1.36 per diluted share, compared with adjusted net income of $198.8 million, or $1.58 per diluted share in the fourth quarter of 2020. Finally, our cash equivalents, and marketable securities balance was $7.77 billion on December 31st. Nearly 1 million merchants have launched businesses on Shopify since 2019, bringing with them a surging demand for our commerce solutions to thrive in a sea of opportunity. The investments we made in the years leading up to 2020 prepared Shopify and our merchants for this unprecedented wave of digital commerce that pulled forward the need for modern retail technology and drove our exceptional results. Our consistent track record of growing our base of merchants and overall GMV is evidence that our formula to build for the future of commerce is working. Now that we have turned the page to this new era of e-commerce, the road in front of us is teeming with opportunities that we must act on now to add more momentum to our flywheel. Therefore, in 2022, we're moving full steam ahead with investments that build on the foundation of our commerce infrastructure that will further power our base of merchants to expand, become stronger, and succeed now and on the other side of this digital commerce transformation. Harley addressed the why behind our 4 key investment themes earlier, so I will build on each of them from an investment perspective. First, building buyer relationships. In 2022, we plan on extending ways for merchants to connect with more buyers, deepen buyer relationships, seamlessly operate their businesses across more channels, and offer memorable shopping experiences while maintaining control of their brand. I'll talk briefly about 2 areas, Shop and Shopify POS. In 2021, we made excellent progress with making Shop a great place to shop. On top of the features Harley went through, we added a host of curated lists and made our product recommendation algorithms better to help buyers with brand-first product discovery. In 2022, we will continue adding more features and creating fantastic shopping experiences so buyers want to keep coming back to their favorite brands. As the world emerges from the pandemic, physical retail is making a comeback. In-person selling is one of the best opportunities for merchants to deepen relationships with buyers through experiences, services, and often a shared community. As there is still a huge opportunity ahead of us to bring our leading omnichannel capabilities to more retail businesses, in 2022, we will increase our investments to put Shopify POS into the hands of more brick-and-mortar merchants in more geographies. Which brings me to our second investment theme, going global. This means we plan to do more in 2022 to help merchants thrive in their local markets and reach buyers globally. In 2021, our base of merchants in GMV outside North America increased as part of our overall mix compared with 2020, as we improved product market fit and introduced more of our solutions to our focus regions. We plan to continue this in 2022, bringing Shopify POS and Shopify payments with local payment methods to even more countries. We also expect in 2022 to introduce more local currency subscriptions, which we began testing in 2021. And we intend to expand our sales and marketing investments in these markets to make it obvious that Shopify is the solution of choice to launch a business with and succeed. Finally, Harley noted some key examples of ways we will continue to help merchants also reach buyers outside of their local markets in 2022, notably extending global reach via Shopify Markets and our partnership with JD.com. Moving to our third investment theme, growing from first sale to full scale. In 2022, we will keep making the important things easy and everything else possible. For entrepreneurs who are just getting started, this means continuing to lower the technical barriers to launch a business, such as making onboarding easier, and then helping them to find product market fit so they can achieve their first sale. As merchants scale, their journey is simplified by features like Shopify Shipping and Shopify Capital. As Shopify Plus merchants like Allbirds and Figs have demonstrated, brands can show up as their authentic selves on Shopify and grow to the next stratosphere, never having to re-platform. In 2022, enhancements to products like Shopify Balance, Shopify Capital, and B2B for direct-to-consumer merchants will keep powering growth journeys on Shopify. And finally, our fourth investment theme, simplifying fulfillment. We are moving into a new phase in 2022 for building simple and fast fulfillment for our merchants. Over the past 18 months, we built a prototype to make fulfillment more simple and seamless. We honed in on direct-to-consumer, hyper-growth self-shippers who met criteria that made them a good fit. We began building out a self-operated lease warehouse in Atlanta and conducted pilots with simple inventory onboarding and management, a buyer experience fully integrated with Shopify across channels, a network with 2-day delivery coverage for more than 90% of the U.S. population, simple return, and simple pricing. The result of these actions was encouraging, as the percentage of surveyed merchants who were very satisfied more than tripled by the end of 2021 relative to the end of 2020, informing us that we're on the right path in building a solution that helps merchants easily manage their products, orders, and inventory from their Shopify admin and gain control, visibility, and confidence in fulfillment. So as we look ahead to 2022, we will continue building our solution by operating more major hub warehouses ourselves, while still leveraging high-performing partners where it makes sense. We'll also unify the network with our own warehouse management software while still using partner software in some cases to highly integrate with Shopify's back office and checkout so merchants can seamlessly offer and achieve delivery promises. Over the next 3 years through 2024, our planned investments expand the merchant value proposition even more, including increasing 1-day delivery coverage in the U.S. and increasingly enhanced returns functionality. And we are planning to be able to handle progressively larger merchants with a broader set of needs as we build through 2024. When we launched Shopify Fulfillment Network in mid-2019, we said that we expected to spend $1 billion over 5 years. Through 2021, about halfway through the original asset-light plan, we spent $117 million, which includes funding cash operating losses and a small amount of CapEx. In conjunction with our updated, more direct approach, we will take this opportunity to reorient you on our expectations going forward. First of all, our expectations for Shopify Fulfillment Network, revenue, operating expenses, and capital expenditures will be incorporated in our overall Shopify outlook, as they are for 2022. And second, we are providing today a one-time view of our expectations with regard to CapEx and scale under this updated approach. CapEx related to Shopify Fulfillment Network will start to ramp in 2022, with an expectation for 2023 and 2024 of approximately $1 billion in capital expenditures over those 2 years for self-operated leased warehouse hubs in key U.S. geographies. To make the transition from prototype to build, while still maintaining the merchant delight we've achieved, we expect fulfillment volumes to progressively scale toward the back of 2023 and into 2024. These investments enable the merchant value proposition and network build we described earlier. While this requires higher upfront spend, it pays back through operating efficiencies over time and allows us to achieve our desired margin profile more effectively than solely via partners. Note that these expectations are based on a set of assumptions that I have described for the next 3 years. Investments above this would be based on allocating capital to opportunities that either significantly expand the opportunity set for merchants and Shopify or have strong paybacks from improved operating efficiency. We are pleased with our progress on Shopify Fulfillment Network, proud of the team we've assembled that's been doing groundbreaking work, and confident that what we are building will help merchants in ways never thought possible. With these important areas of focus and investment in mind, let's turn to our outlook for 2022. We believe that change behaviors adopted by merchants and consumers in 2020 and 2021, driven by COVID, have expanded the prospects for entrepreneurship and digital commerce. And these past 2 years have been game-changing for Shopify, with our merchant base, GMV, revenue, as well as the size of our team doubling over 2019 levels. This momentum sets us up to expand our ambitions on behalf of merchants into 2022 as the world continues to find normalcy living with and moving beyond COVID. Our outlook for 2022 assumes continued secular tailwinds for entrepreneurship and digital commerce transformation against a more measured macro environment relative to 2021. While we believe that the COVID-triggered acceleration of e-commerce that spilled into the first half of 2021 in the form of lockdowns and government stimulus will be absent from 2022, and there is caution around inflation and consumer spend near term, for the full year, we see economic growth supporting the continued penetration of retail by e-commerce. Against these bigger picture secular and economic assumptions, our financial outlook anticipates revenue growth for the full year 2022 that's lower than 2021's 57%, but still rapid, and outpacing the growth of e-commerce, driven by our many growth levers, including expansion of our services to more merchants and more geographies, the growing contribution of newly added products, and our strong value proposition for multi-channel commerce, which offers independent brands of all sizes a way to build a strong, low-friction presence across the internet, in apps, and in person. For 2022, we expect year-over-year revenue growth to be lowest in the first quarter of 2022 and highest in the fourth quarter of 2022 due to 3 factors. First, we do not expect the COVID-triggered acceleration of e-commerce in the first half of 2021 from lockdowns and government stimulus to repeat in the first half of 2022. It's worth noting that revenue growth in Q1 of 2021 was our highest ever as a public company at 110% year over year. Second, our new terms with app and theme developers create a couple of differences from last year's first quarter. The elimination of our rev share on their first $1 million of revenue annually reset on January 1st, and the switch from gross to net revenue recognition for the sale of themes as a result of revised contract terms with our theme partners. Since these terms didn't come into play until the second half of last year, these will be a headwind to subscription solutions revenue in the first half of 2022, particularly in the first quarter. And third, we expect certain commercial initiatives and sales and marketing investments will gain momentum over the course of 2022. Subscription solutions revenue growth to be driven by more merchants around the world joining the platform than in 2021 as we introduce new commercial initiatives and aggressively invest in sales and marketing to expand our addressable market and more deeply penetrate existing markets. Our objective in 2022 will be on optimizing our efforts around getting more merchants on the platform and to success. Merchant solutions revenue growth to be more than twice the rate of subscription solutions revenue growth year over year as merchants make greater use of our offerings and we expand existing products into new geographies and roll out newer features like Shopify Markets. The increase in merchant solutions in our overall revenue mix means gross profit dollar growth will trail revenue growth. The evolution of retail to digitally empowered commerce is far-reaching, ranging from new ways for merchants to improve buyer discovery and loyalty to new commercial opportunities on social channels to a data-enabled revolution in shipping and logistics. To keep independent brands at the forefront of this revolution, Shopify intends to reinvest back into our business aggressively throughout 2022, deploying all of our gross profit dollars back into the business. In research and development, we expect to hire more engineers than in 2021, despite an exceptionally competitive market for top talent. In sales and marketing, we are accelerating hiring in sales, initiating a new offline performance marketing program, and stepping up marketing efforts internationally. Lastly, for 2022, we anticipate capital expenditures of $200 million, stock-based compensation expenses and related payroll taxes of $800 million, and amortization of acquired intangibles of $28 million. In closing, Shopify is building in 2022. We are building the infrastructure of commerce so our merchants can continue to compete and lead in the future of retail. a future in which commerce happens everywhere across digital services, physical spaces, and global regions. The value of Shopify lies in its simplicity for merchants to easily start and scale their business, so much so that merchants fall in love with our solutions and never want to leave, no matter how big they get. They understand that as they grow and confront new challenges, Shopify and our partners will solve their problem so they can take their business to the next level. That is the power of Shopify's flywheel. We at Shopify are energized to tackle the opportunities that this new phase of commerce brings for making commerce better for everyone. I'll now turn the call back to Katie.
Thanks, Amy. Before we open the call up for your questions today, I'd like to remind everyone to please limit yourself to just one question. Juan, can we open the line up for questions?
Of course, as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star followed by 1 on your telephone keypads now. If you change your mind or your question has been answered already, please press star followed by number 2. When preparing to ask a question, please ensure your phone is unmuted locally. And the first question comes from Thomas Ford from D.A. Davidson. Please, Thomas, your line is now open.
Great, thanks for taking my question. So technology shares have been under pressure the past few months. There's published reports of Amazon's increasing its cash comp to secure and retain tech talent in a competitive market. How should we think about Shopify's strategy regarding cash and stock comp to secure and retain tech talent? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Tech talent is in high demand across the technology sector. And so, we obviously want to remain competitive in attracting the best talent in the world. And so, as you can see from our stock-based compensation outlook that we provided to you, that does incorporate both, reflects the full year impact of hiring from last year, as well as hiring that we'll do this year, and some expected adjustments that we will make. I continue to believe that based on the hiring that we did last year, that we were able to more than double our R&D hiring year over year, and Shopify remains the best place in tech to work. Compensation clearly plays a factor in that, but I would say equally as important are the exciting things that we're doing in our continued innovation.
And obviously technology, I mean, it's tight. There's we have not, planet Earth has not made enough engineers to deal with the rapid digitalization and we've gone through with COVID and so on. So the money component is a big component, and stock component is a big component, and Shopify is amongst the best paying companies in the world in both things. And increasingly talent graduates to companies that have other things to offer, for instance, personal growth is just incredibly important. Everyone gets that. Most of the return in your career comes in the future, especially when you're pretty early and right out of university. So, just some of the company values, like being constant learner, work really, really well in this way. I think people can get an enormous amount of experience. Here, they can engineers can report to an unbroken chain of other engineers, all the way to including some people of the board of directors. And for me, people on the design side. The companies want to sweat all details, and that's really, really appreciated by people in that craft. And the product discipline is super well established. There's me playing a very active role and teaching what I've learned over the last 17 years. So a lot of people, there is a big talent scramble in the world. There's a lot of shuffling going on. Shopify is on the good side of the shuffling, it seems, and that's works really, really well for the merchants that we are building for every day.
Thanks, Toby.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Matt Pfau from William Blair. Please, Matt, your line is now open.
Great, guys. Thanks for taking my question. I just wanted to ask on the decision to operate more fulfillment centers yourselves, maybe just some more detail on what drove that decision, and specifically leveraging the asset-light model. Were you having quality issues or issues scaling, and so maybe that's what drove the decision to bring more of those operations in-house? Thanks.
Hey, Matt, it's Harley. I'll take that question. So a couple things in terms of the SFN model. So we are shifting the network model really to larger capacity hubs, and we want to operate more of them ourselves for things like better control quality, but also on cost here. As part of this, we're also unifying the network across with the warehouse management system, and so we think that will also continue to optimize things. But the goal here is clear. We expect to enable 2-day delivery coverage to more than 90% of the U.S. population, and at the same time, we want to obviously minimize inventory investment for SFN if needed. So, Amy talked about the additional spend. We expect spend to be about $2 billion through 2024, including that $1.4 billion in CapEx. But really, if volumes are what we expect them to be, we need to have enough capacity. That's really important. But also the capacity has to be of very high quality, and that is what we're preparing for. Now, we run larger hubs as a backbone, but we're also taking advantage of partners. It's not as if this will be entirely Shopify owned, but we wanted to match Shopify warehouses with partner warehouses, and we expect that quality will increase and the capacity will increase because of this change. So a good way to kind of think about it is that I think we were in sort of this prototyping stage for SFN the last couple of years. We've learned a ton. We have new insight. We got great feedback, and now we're really going to the build stage of this. But we're very optimistic.
Great, thanks, Harley. Thanks, Matt. Next question, please.
Next question comes from Ken Wong from Guggenheim Securities. Please, Ken, your line is now open.
Great, thank you for taking my question. I wanted to dig into the fulfillment side a little more as well. So you highlighted the capital expenditures through 2024. In the past, you guys laid out a roadmap where aggregate revenue would largely align with your total investment spend. Should we think about the revenue coming in at a similar pace to your investments with the kind of new roadmap?
Yeah, so let me just clarify a little bit first on the investment. We said CapEx would start to ramp in 2022, and then in 2023 and 2024, we expected to spend about $1 billion on the warehouse hubs that Harley spoke about. During 2022, we're transitioning from prototype into build, and during that transition, we will continue to focus first and foremost on maintaining high merchant delight that we've worked so hard to achieve that I talked about earlier. That's critical, and scaling in 2022 with that in mind. And what I said also was that in the back of 2023 and into 2024, that's when we expected we would start to see scale of the size where we can really start to optimize the cost of the network. And so largely that's how you would think about revenue ramping as well.
Thanks, Ken. Next question, please.
Next question comes from Paul Treiber from RBC Capital Markets. Please, Paul, your line is now open.
Thanks very much, and good morning. A question for Toby here, and this is like the age-old question for software platforms, which is how do you choose between what you incorporate into Shopify's core platform versus what you delegate to the ecosystem? And in the past, with things like payments, you've used partners, fulfillment. It looks like you're choosing to do it more yourself now. Now, how do you really make that decision there?
Yeah. Maybe that question is one of those like files you have, and then you double click it and it expands and fills up all the disk space. Without trying to give an essay on it, here's the heuristic, basically. Maybe that's the best way to compress it. If merchants need something if most of the merchants need something, most of the time it goes to the core, right? That's sort of the first step at this. That changes over time. So for a while, it was most people needed support for a payment gateway. I'm talking like ancient history here. At some point, most people needed support for a payment gateway. So they supported a lot of them. And then it just was like, you knew eventually payment gateways, you knew exactly what they would need to support, and then we built one which was included with everyone by default, and people can just sort of choose another one if they need to. It sort of evolves. The consequence of what Shopify does and addresses is not really defined by industry. This is sort of an interesting. At some point there was like a point of sale industry and a online store industry and logistics industry, and they were all separate. But I think verticalizing through all this was a really important step here because merchants again just kind of need to solve e-commerce problems, or need to solve. Sorry, I shouldn't say e-commerce. They just need to get their product into the cloud and then from there everywhere, right, into every channel. And that's integrating a whole lot of different systems together is just a complexity that will limit the potential for growth. And you're thinking some about logistics, but there's a lot. There's also fairly bright lines around this. Physical shippable products are kind of our bread and butter. And that's a huge market. It's incredible how often in my career I had conversations which they're difficult to have, partly because people just kind of underestimate the size of the retail industry to begin with, and then also massively underestimate the size of the internet. And given that Shopify is at the intersection of both things, there's always been a very, very large opportunity, but also lots of opportunity for us to get distracted when we build things. Since in the last 2 years, we've really, really focused on not getting in too many adjacencies and being clear with our partners what it is we want to accomplish. And just really tracking the details of the core parts of the business. So I think if you're trying to predict the direction we are going, just imagine like us, like I think we told everyone roughly which parts of the space we want to solve, and we are going to get better and better and better in those parts, and sometimes a little bit deeper integrated, wherever that is a big product advantage. But this is past that, it's really case by case and very complicated conversation involving assumptions about what the future looks like and things like this, which are, again, that's a really big topic, but fascinating one though.
Thank you, Paul. Next question, please.
Next question comes from Bhavin Shah from Deutsche Bank. Please, Bhavin, your line is now open.
Great. I guess for Holly and Toby, you guys continue to innovate on the Shop app, adding more and more search functionality. How are you guys thinking about ways to potentially monetize your scale here, while also balancing the need for merchants to kind of remain control of their brand?
I'll start. It's Harley here. So, look, I think the Shop app is certainly getting more and more attention now. It really, the value prop that we've always talked about around it is strengthening the merchant relationship with buyers in an effort to increase customer LTV. So, you know, it offers things like real-time order tracking, in-app checkout, with Shop Pay installments. It has product recommendation, post-purchase marketing. It really is a great way for merchants to better engage with their end consumer. In terms of, you know, how we continue to evolve that, I mean, look, in Q4 2021 alone, millions more buyers signed up and used Shop app to make purchases directly from the app during the holiday season, and that obviously continues as well. The other thing to sort of think about is as a consumer decides that they like a particular brand, this is a way for them to go direct to that brand again when they want to buy either more products or they want to rebuy a product they've already purchased. And when you combine that with Shop Pay, which, as I mentioned in the opening remarks, has now facilitated $43 billion in GMV since its launch, it's 4 times faster. It has a 1.7x higher checkout rate. It is becoming consumers' favorite way to shop and for their favorite brand. So we'll continue to innovate on that from a product perspective. In terms of the monetization of that, look, the more ways that merchants can sell, the higher their LTV becomes. Obviously, Shopify's business model is a flywheel of entrepreneurship, and the better our merchants do, the better we do. And so that's really where we're focused.
Great. Thank you, Pavel. Next question.
Next question comes from Colin Sebastian from Baird. Please, Colin, your line is now open.
All right, thanks, and good morning, everybody. I will apologize by adding another question on the fulfillment. And I guess the question is, what will this 3-year investment cycle give you in terms of capacity? I mean, the context there being the amount that we're seeing other platforms like Amazon spending per facility. And if within that capacity ramp, are you embedding anything related to transportation, either middle mile or last mile, which is also, you know, part of competing logistics offerings? Thank you.
I would say that I mentioned some of this earlier on, but the goal is now that we have a sufficient amount of insight and information and feedback from merchants, we really, we want to continue to build these foundational features for SFN. So what we're focusing on is how do we offer this fast and simple fulfillment that will enable them to delight their customers. Part of that will be things like, testing, fees across, like one simple fee across things like inbounding and pick and pack and storage and supplies. But what we're trying to do is just enable it so, as I said in my opening remarks, the merchants don't have to think about fulfillment. Again, being able to offer this to 90% of the U.S., 2-day affordable shipping, that really is the goal. And this mix between self-owned warehouses but also leveraging partners, we think is the best way to get there. But look, this is complicated stuff, and this is stuff that is not, it is not easy to do. That's sort of where Shopify shines. We always shine, where we take things that are really complicated and we simplify them for small businesses and now larger businesses as well. So our plan is really to again move into this phase of build, scale these operations, figure out where we can find greater control over efficiency layers, where we can find automation. There's obviously cost levers as well here, but the goal is to make fulfillment something that our merchants, particularly in the U.S. for now, don't have to think about. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I think I would just add in there that again, us operating some of the larger hubs as a backbone, adding and continuing to work with partners for spokes, for sort centers, and continuing to iterate on how this evolves, looking at middle mile transportation, anything that increases the speed and efficiency of the network on behalf of our merchants, we absolutely will consider in the mix going forward.
Great. Thank you, Colin. Thanks. Next question, please.
Next question comes from Samad Samana from Jefferies. Please, Samad, your line is now open.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my question. Amy, maybe one for you. I'm wondering, how should we think about the brick and mortar GMV represented by your existing merchants that have both a physical presence and an e-com footprint, and what percentage of that has been penetrated by the shop point of sale offering?
Yeah, I mean, we don't disclose the particulars, but we know that there's a large percentage of our existing merchant base that has both. And so when you look at our POS performance, as Harley said, not only did it have its best quarter ever in Q4 from a GMV perspective, but we continue to increase the number of merchants and the number of locations significantly. And in that addition of merchants, we're seeing healthy penetration of our existing merchant base. That's the number one driver of increasing merchants in Q4, followed by new merchants coming to Shopify. So we're successful in both. So this is a significant opportunity for us. And as we also indicated, we're in 8 geographies now as of the end of Q4 for POS with integrated payments. And we've already launched 3 additional geographies already in Q1 of 22. So this is a major opportunity for us going forward.
We're also beginning to see, just to add on the retail point of sale side of things, we're also starting to see some really larger merchants start using this as well, whether French Connection in the UK or Campos in Italy, FC Copenhagen in Denmark, Allbirds, Parachute, Brooklinen. What we're seeing is that a lot of the brands we talk about from the e-commerce perspective are really making Shopify point of sale part of their offering in a physical location. And so retail is unequivocally growing its impact in the Shopify business. And as more markets open up post-pandemic, I think you're going to see a lot more there. But we're really proud of, it was the best quarter ever for retail business on Shopify.
Yeah, and the general tolerance for bad software is going down across, everywhere. Like, I think people just experience through COVID lockdowns and all these kind of things has exposed people to the quality of consumer software everywhere, and then how all the problems can be solved in a business context. So as people, like everyone's looking at better point of sale systems, and Shopify point of sale is really, really good. So certainly helping.
Great, thank you so much.
We have time for, thanks. We have time for one more question.
The next question comes from Gabriela Borges from Goldman Sachs. Please, Gabriela, your line is now open.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my question. Amy, I wanted to follow up on your comment on payback period as it relates to SFN, and also a little bit of a broader question, which is, when you as a team, when you think about internal forecasting for the longer term, could you give us a little bit of color on how you're thinking about ROI on the incremental CapEx and OpEx investments of timing to realize a return relative to perhaps what your typical returns for a firm may have looked like pre-COVID? And then just one clarification on reinvesting all gross profit dollars. Does that mean we should take OpEx plus CapEx equal to gross margin dollars? Just a little clarification on how exactly that reconciles in the P&L. Thank you.
Well, on the SFN commentary about investing levels above what we provided in our outlook, we're not going to get into the details of how we view payback or ROI, but what we can assure you is we've always been strong allocators of capital to the right opportunities to grow the various parts of the business at the right time. And this is no different. So the outlook that we provided you, any investment above that would be based on things like volume growing significantly that would have sufficient payback to justify the investment. And that would be a very good thing to have that kind of volume. So that's how we're looking at it. The base investment gets us to a certain level of scale that we think allows us to start optimizing costs and increase the number and types of merchants that we're serving. And anything above that really is driven by success. In terms of investing all of our gross profit dollars back into the business, that's exactly what it means. And we'll leave it there. It means we see a significant opportunity in front of us to continue to go after digital commerce transformation. And there are parts of the business today from an adjusted operating income perspective that are positive, and we're deploying all of those profits back in to grow the businesses like international growth, POS that we just talked about, the Shop app, and SFN.
Great.
Sorry,
Thanks so much, Gabriela, and thanks everybody for dialing in today.
OK， 所以他们电话会议结束了，然后我现在谈一下对这家公司的大致的看法。首先我要声明一点，就是我总体上我仍然认为这家公司肯定是大概率上是质量肯定是高于平均水平的一家公司，我只能是说到这个程度。我之前其实讲过， 我专门做过一个视频，然后因为有人问比如说有我个人我在新加坡，新加坡也有至少在最近2年在投资界非常有名的像那个 C Limited Shopify 是另外一家在加拿大的就非美国的公司，最近2年也是增长很快，然后股市反应就是股价反应很好的公司。有人问我为什么不投资这些公司，我也单独做了解释就是其中一个重要的原因当然不止一个原因了，比如有一个原因是披露的问题，对吧？它的风险，它的披露可能不如美国公司披露的信息更透明。第二个就是管理层，就是通常这就像什么呢？这就像比如说比如你要从一个铁匠那里去买一把宝剑如果这个铁匠他本身这个店是经过千锤百炼，那它的每个产品你都可以相信，这里面仍然有好有坏，但它总体的质量你会比较有信心它比较好。那你去另外一家店，这家店就是这个产品没有这种保证，然后这个铁匠在行业内没有名气，那你买的兵器可能质量都比较差，就是平均水平会比较差。但当然不排除可能性说那个后者可能会莫名其妙突然造出一个绝世神兵，然后打败所有的宝剑，但是这概率会比前者要小。所以就是这种公司就是这样的，就没有经过美国那个硅谷的那种磨练，然后风险投资的打造的这些管理层，我内心里不是特别的有把握所以这是为什么说这几个原因决定了我为什么通常不考虑非美国的公司做投资， Shopify 也不例外。然后所以是讲这个，虽然说这几年看起来这家公司本身质量不错，管理层也整体靠谱这就为什么我之前没有考虑的一个重要原因。然后那首先我们如果是把这些抛开之后，我如果是从现在开始把这家公司看成美国的公司，那我怎么考虑要不要投资，怎么投资。然后对我来讲，要考察一家公司，首先呢你要看它产品在整个市场上的定位，对吧？比如说它最终的是帮助那些商户卖货不管你是只是网上开店还是有实物的店有实际的店最终是要帮助他们把的货卖出去。所以呢它对于一个商户来讲如果是我今天投资失败了我要决心去开一家网上的小店还在楼下卖咖啡，比如说，那我的选择其实很简单我可以直接投靠亚马逊因为亚马逊上你所需要的东西全都有，然后你不用担心任何的东西，然后只是亚马逊要抽成，对吧？我们在讲亚马逊那一集Amazon 那集我们说过了 Amazon 对它的那个第三方的这些收费比较高，然后因为它的管控也比较强，因为它毕竟还有 Amazon 整个的牌子在后面做背书，所以客户很多只要从 Amazon 的网站买的，哪怕是Amazon 网站上第三方，它也会 Amazon 最后也有一个保底的作用，因为这意味着这是从 Amazon 这个品牌的拿到的，对不对？所以亚马逊就是 Amazon 会收取的那个份额比较高，所以呢很多商户就会比较担心说那我的利润受影响，对吧？所以他可能会考虑别的。那别的呢其实现在选择可能比较明显的就是 Shopify 这样一个平台，就是你把你的商品就是在 Shopify 开个商店，用它的服务，每个月比如说你如果有一定规模之后，每个月可能要给 Shopify 付钱，你可以同时享用它的平台上的很多别的那些应用，然后包括支付，它现在也可以做物流，对吧？所以对商户来讲是这种大体上这两种选择。但是你如果考虑 Shopify 在整个这个商户的生态系统当中呢，定位其实有点尴尬，不是尴尬可能听起来有点负面，就是它不是特别强。比如说我们之前在一集当中好像是讲过，至少我印象里讲过2次消费者的那个漏斗 consumer 那个 funnel， 就是说你消费者从一开始看到这个品牌到最后买到货品，这中间要经历这个漏斗，就是一开始你要看到品牌，对它有了解，喜欢这个品牌， 然后去他的网站去购买付款，最后发货拿到，包括可能还有后面服务啊、退货什么之类这些，所以它整体是一个像一个漏斗一个形状。所以在这个漏斗形状里面，你如果考虑 Shopify 在整个这个生态系统中的位置，它其实处于中部，就是说，比如果是一个人我去买一个，比如说从来没买过的，比如说滑板，我要去买滑板，之前毫无了解对这个行业，那我可能首先要去搜索或去Instagram， 当然我不用这个，但是有很多年轻人会用，然后就用这些 social 的 app， 这些社交媒体的这些应用去找说，我那些比较相信的这些人，然后他们在推荐什么牌子，然后所以最上面这部分呢，其实是属于 Facebook、TikTok 这些公司的领域，他们占据了最上方，这就流量入口，就是大家进来的这个第一部分你要先有流量，然后拿到这部分之后，然后这些流量这些入口收集了这些用户流量之后，然后他们再会往下给导到其他的地方。那 Shopify 就在这个位置，比如说 Shopify 为什么要跟 Facebook 合作？因为他自己没有流量你没有一个 Shopify.com， 大家去 follow Shopify 这些人，然后去得到我要买什么东西，对不对？他还是通过 Facebook、Instagram， 然后 TikTok 这些社交媒体，包括还有 Google 搜索，通过这些入口里面然后进入 Shopify 这个平台。这就为什么说 Shopify 一定需要 Facebook 来解决这个。然后因为它处在中部，然后呢，它中部里面当然它的提供的服务也很多，对吧？就是可以提供很多不同的服务包括付款，包括现在有最后的尾部的，就是最后的发货所以 Facebook 他们在上面，那发货呢，现在其实是大家知道最厉害的是亚马逊，是吧？亚马逊的现在它全球的过去十几年花了上千亿建了那么多的logistic， 就是那个物流配送的那个体系但是呢 Shopify 又不能用，所以 Shopify就是对一个商户来讲，其实最重要的两部分，我觉得 Shopify 都不掌握它不掌握流量入口，所以商户必须要去买流量，或者是通过别的方式拿到流量。另外一部分就是最底部的发货 ，Shopify 现在也没有优势，它是处在中间的位置，是吧？所以为什么讲说，比如说 Facebook 它比较强，因为它控制前面，亚马逊比较强，因为它控制尾部。所以当然亚马逊它自己的 solution， 它自己的方案是包括所有的。所以从这个角度来讲 ，Shopify 它第一个，过去2年的高速增长，其实很大一部分是来自于 Facebook 让利。让利是什么概念？比如说我们之前讲 Facebook 的视频讲过 ，Facebook 就是最近这2年，因为它要追赶 TikTok， 所以它做很多 Instagram、Reels 那些新的那个以视频主打的这个形式的这些内容，它现在基本上是就是商化的很少，基本上没有放很多广告。然后所以它的 Instagram 现在虽然有些广告，但是也没有那么多。所以它现在其实过去2年大家看到是吧，其实 Shopify 得到了很多比较便宜的从 Facebook、Instagram 这些流量入口来的这些流量所以它现在问题是说，它之所以很多人觉得在 Shopify 上可能非常合适，觉得成本比较低，一部分原因是说它前面的流量现在成本比较低，而这个将来是有可能会变的。我们讲过 Facebook， 它最终如果是说它能够跟 TikTok 打平，或者是能够超过，它的流量很大程度上会转成未来的那些视频 video 的形式，那它后面会马上做广告，然后把这部分加大，然后以后你要再想拿它的流量，然后付费成本估计会比较高，所以这部分其实对 Shopify 未来它的商户会有一个财务的压力，就是原先看起来说，我通过 Shopify 好像比我在亚马逊上付的要低，但未来这个比例有可能变化，这是第一个。第二个就是你看之前我也提过的，就是 Shopify 之前几年的他们一开始的想象是说，我不要像亚马逊一样花这么多钱做物流，太亏钱了，然后我也对股东可能也没法交代。他原先从2019年开始做这个物流，因为物流配送非常重要对商户，对不对？ 他当时是讲说，我不要做自己的，我主要靠就是那种联系第三方的物流，然后把他们串在一起，然后我只是像一个指挥一样，我做一个操作系统，我可以调配所有的第三方，然后这样希望能解决。后来做了几年，后来发现说这种形式至少在美国不可能成功，你要在美国真要想跟亚马逊竞争，可能在多数国家都是一样，真要跟亚马逊竞争，你必须要很大程度上把自己的物流建起来，在美国的大城市都要有大的物流配发中心，可能也要自己那个charter那些飞机，然后你靠飞机给你不停的运货，然后只有把这样才有可能在美国实现它最终的2天之内送达这么一个目标。所以他这段时间开始转型，就说我们之前可能想的太简单了，所以我们现在你看他这次的这个电话会里面就很多次提到说，我们要加大资本投入，未来的几年可能每年可能要花几亿美金做物流，做自己的物流，然后再结合第三方的物流。所以现在市场来讲，可能就有点担心说，那未来几年的利润可能都看不到了，因为这些都会再投资你不管挣下多少钱，只要是自由现金流就会再投资，对长期可能是好处，但未来几年可能就会有影响，对吧？所以就是理解这家公司，首先要从整个生态系统看它处的位置。这家公司不是不会成功，但它要离成功真正做到说，跟亚马逊可以叫板，离得还很远。我觉得之前很多人可能把它，尤其是疫情期间2年快速增长，很多人把它看成了亚马逊的竞争对手。现在看起来，我觉得这种想法可能是太过于异想天开了，就是它对亚马逊形不成实际的竞争，至少现在不可能，对吧？所以这个就说这是它的从它的商业模式来讲另外一个从它的股票的估值，它的股票的估值其实很多人可能有误解。你如果看雅虎 Finance， 他说我的这个公司的 PE 才30几，好像很便宜，其实不是的。你要去看它的财报，它其实这个季度就很多那个收益是一次性的，就它来自于像投资于 Affirm， 比如 Affirm 之前给了它一大堆的认股权，后来 Affirm 上市所以最近几个季度这部分收益就相当于是变现了，就至少是变得你就是真正你的收益了，所以它就计入了收入。所以这部分如果拿掉之后，其实它的 PE 现在我的感觉是，好像昨天看我大概算了一下，仍然高于100仍然高于100。所以高于100的这种市盈率当然市盈率本身不见得说明所有的问题，因为最终还有增长，对吧？比如你如果是市盈率比较高，超过100，但你增长非常非常快也可以。但问题是你如果看它的公司提供的 slides， 比如说你看过去的从16年到2021年整体看下来每年好像增长41%，这是很高了。但其实呢，你如果仔细看，这其中包括2部分的，就是从16到19年，然后从2020到2021，这2个是完全不同的增长趋势，对不对？所以你如果是不考虑疫情，就是假定疫情这部分增长，很多在疫情过了之后会因为它会就像 Netflix 那个用户数一样，它提前就把这些人吸进来，那其实是把之后的增长你现在提前实现了，那反而会影响后面的增长。你如果把这个比拉平的话，我觉得这家公司可能中长期吧，看起来可能增长率应该大致，我的猜测是比如说30到35%就30%到35%左右，这个增长仍然算不错。但是呢，比如说你的市盈率在100，但你的增长率在30、35这样的水平，就是对我来讲，我个人感觉还是偏高了就是如果是你这样的判断的话，尤其是跟别的公司要对比的话，那跟什么样的公司对比呢？当然就是首先不要跟 Upstart 去对比就任何公司跟 Upstart 对比显得都黯然无光所以不跟 Upstart 比。那其实它的生意很像 Square尤其它现在很多要转去做那个它的商户的 POS， 就做商户的解决方案，帮商户管理他的存货给商户发小额贷款的这些东西，这些跟 Square 的它那个双边市场的那个 seller 的那个 system 就很像了 那你要判断说这家公司 Shopify 跟 Square 长期在这个商户这个系统里面哪个可能增长更快，所以这个现在当然是不太容易判断，但是 Square 比他们增长的时间更长，我对管理层更为了解，所以我觉得我至少现在没有理由认为它比 Square 未来会增长快很多，而且会持续更长的时间，所以这是这个。然后还有最后一部分我想讲的对公司的，就是说我之前提过不投资非美国的公司，其中有一个我刚才说的就是披露的问题。比如说我如果是愿意花很多时间真的去研究这家公司，我也很困难。为什么？我可以秀给大家。比如你看这是他提供的年报，因为它是外国公司，所以它那个用的表格也不一样。然后你如果看下来的话，总体好像是有很多信息，但我其实刚才仔细看了，然后这是多少页啊？对吧？总共才总共只有40页吗？好像总共才40多页，真的总共只有40页。所以如果一个公司让我年报只让我40页的内容给我说，因为年报已经是非常就是认为是最详细的披露了，对吧？就是说你看了40页当中，我像之前大家讲的年报里面很多东西其实是没有什么用的，真正那些有价值的部分可能只占其中一小部分。我刚才看了一下，真正有价值的可能只有几页，而且比如他的生意其实本身并不简单，因为他们比如有部分是那种订阅的收入，对，比如说你如果是商户，你如果是用它很多功能要付钱，每个月要付钱，然后另外还有部分是他提供的软件，还有说专针付款的，比如他有那个 ShopPay 那些支付的这些内容也都在里面，所以它其实就是它最终的收入它分了2部分，但其中你如果细分的话，有很多个不同的层面，而且跟不同的人在不同的行业进行竞争，所以你如果真正考虑，其实蛮复杂。就是我如果是要真正了解这家公司，我可能针对比如说具体的那些部分，我需要有更明确的信息告诉我说，你这部分到底怎么样？你在衡量什么样的指标？你跟行业内是怎么比较？你每个季度什么样的变化？这些基本上都没有。基本上都没有，所以我其实不知道那些特别看好这家公司的人，那些投资者是怎么分析这家公司的。就是你当然只看收入增长是很好，过去2年，但是如果仔细看里面的东西，就是你只有相信管理层说他这个公司管理的很完善，因为至少从年报上我看不出来因为他给的信息很少，他管理层所谓他给的那个 KPI 就是管理层说我特别重视的2项。一项是收入，一项就是他商户的一项是他自己的收入，一项是就是商户的整个在平台上的流量，就是那个流水的量。所以这个其实对我来讲，就是我就没有办法对这家公司真正做估值，因为信息太少所以这是为什么我不太看那些非美国公司的那一个原因了所以我这家公司总体判断就是这样，我觉得它未来会有很多的，因为它涉及的地方很多，未来确实有很多可以发展的地方，比如跟 Square 竞争，然后 payment 方面，然后做自己的物流这些东西有很多可以做的。但是呢，它未来它前面预知了很多增长，它未来几年增长到底是多少我觉得不会，肯定比原来要低。但能低到什么程度不好说，然后再加上它现在你如果按它的市盈率看，它其实并不便宜，所以这就是为什么说我至少在现在这个价位不会考虑这样的公司我看一下我的对，另外一个就是说怎么衡量这样的公司的管理层第一个我刚才讲了，就是对非美国公司的管理层比较难控制，因为你这个人这个 Toby 他自己口头表达能力，我个人感觉一般希望就是他可能脑子里有很多东西，但是能够倒出来的东西比较少，就像那个漏斗一样，有什么东西卡住了，所以表达不太出来。然后根据我过去几年的观察以及看他们的那些分析，所以我最后的结论是说，这家管理层可能 总体质量不错，但不见得整体高于美国的那些科技公司，所以我不会为这些管理层就打一个非常高的分数。我觉得很多人包括在推特上对这家公司以及对Toby 本人评价特别高，不见得是说真正了解这个人以及他的思路啊，然后赞许他，而是说股价影响的。比如说这个公司过去2年股价就增长很快，股价很快，所以大家都觉得说，哎，这个 CEO 一定很棒。所以这其中是本末倒置的，对吧？就是说，就你不可以说只是因为股价，因为短期间的，因为它受疫情的影响，它得益于疫情这2年增长很快，然后就整体拔高了对这个公司和对管理层的评价。我觉得很多人这种思维，我觉得是一个长期投资者要避免的，就是说你还是要看基本面。基本面就是什么？就是这家公司在差的时候、好的时候，你都能看到管理层非常稳定的那个水平才是真正的水平，对吧？大家如果是比如说乘风破浪，对吧？就是最后如果后面有风推着你，大家都可以跑得很快，所以这种时候你看每个人可能都觉得很漂亮，但这是不可以的。所以我对他的公司的质量和管理层的质量都不会把它放到高于美国的科技公司的平均数。OK， 所以这是我总体对这家公司的印象。OK， 所以那我现在来看一下大家的问题，有问题大家打进来。OK， 今天时间还好，所以1个小时多一点。第一个问题是 Palantir， 刚刚听完股票期权那么高，高层怎么好意思？你不要小瞧人家的脸皮的厚度。OK， 有些人真的是厚颜无耻，这个没有上限的。OK， 大家觉得有字母很好，所以我是为什么给大家讲这个，说大家可以把字母，比如说如果它中文翻译其实一般，但英文其实它同声传译其实效果还不错，我觉得95%以上字都弄对了，所以其实应该是有帮助的。你如果是稍微吃力一点，看着英文字母慢一些，然后我觉得形成这种习惯，你如果想独立投资的话，我觉得这是必须的一课。好奇 Shopify 和 Affirm 有没有计划？他们没有，他们之前的 Affirm 在财报里面讲了，就是说我之前也说过，他们 Affirm 讲的是说，同每个大平台上线可能需要1年才能迅速的达到规模。Shopify 现在应该已经有了规模，这就为什么上个季度 Affirm 的盈利水平会有它那个 take rate， 就是佣金水平会有下降，就是因为 Shopify 很多它是无息贷款，它收商户的那个比例又比较低就是像利润率比较低的产品，现在这种小额无息贷款比较多，所以这是这个这个同学说中文翻译怪怪的，这个我同意。这个 Google 这方面还要提高。对，我同意，就是说作为价值投资者，你要看季报、年报、听电话会议，一定要形成习惯。OK， 这是基本功。OK， 我就是这个问我怎么分析 Shopify 的昨天大跌。我觉得这种大跌不奇怪，第一个是整体市场，大家现在是说，之前就是每个人看起来都很棒，因为增长很快，大家有零利率，觉得这个估值就应该很高。现在大家知道要加息了，而且看起来加息是一方面，所以在现在这种环境只有像 Upstart 这样的公司说能够证明它的业绩没有受疫情的影响，就是说在疫情过了之后，它仍然非常非常快的增长，而且有盈利的，所以这样的公司，然后市场就会一下反应过来说，哦，这个公司跟别人不同，我不能按同样的观点去看它，我要把它股价提上去，因为这样的公司是真正长期好的公司，除非是这样的公司，要不然的话，你如果是这个季度的没有达到预期，哪怕差一点点，或者是你对后面的预期比如增长率稍微要差一些，大家都会反应很大，所以这种大跌是可以理解的。而且 Shopify 确实有这个问题，它之前就像我讲的，它预支了后面几年的增长，所以管理层现在也很清楚说，第一个它会加大投入，所以利润率会受影响；第二个它从疫情这个过了之后，后面2年我估计增长率也会回到疫情之前，所以你要比这2年跟后面2年，我估计会反差会比较大，所以市场可能突然意识到这一点，觉得说我可能之前对它的估计不太符合实际的预期不太符合情况。 这个问了说去看了一下 Upstart 的 S1，OK， 这个我们可以回头再说。他讲说这两个人的股票比例 ，OK， 我的印象是说 Sanjay 他好像是现在拥有公司的1%，这作为 CFO 来讲，好像没有听说过另外一家上市公司在一开始就给 CFO 这么多的股权。然后那个 Paul Gu 他是 CTO， 给他的好像是跨的时间更长，他将来很有可能会超过Sanjay，如果是放长几年的话。但我的印象，我上次看他现在拿到的是比Sanjay要少。但这个无论多少，这两个人肯定都很重要。然后这个问题应该不大。涛哥公司估值是跟那个人学的吗？不是。我有听过他的，但他是这个就像上次我讲的，就是说你可能几年前特别崇拜一个人，后来自己提高了之后，就发现你没有那么崇拜了，是吧？这就属于这种情况，因为他的估值还是更传统的说按照现金流啊的估值。我觉得对科技股来讲，就是你需要想象力所以我的方式更像是巴菲特再加上科技这一部分，就是说你要能想象到这家公司未来是有多大的增长，能到什么样的量，然后它在正常情况下应该能产生多大的利润，然后再回到现在看它是不是便宜。比如说 Upstart 一开始你会觉得价格高，但如果假定它后面几年都是70%、80%的增长，而且利润率比这个增长还快，那其实它的 PE 现在算起来就非常非常低，对吧？但这你需要想象力，你需要首先有个定性的判断，说这家公司它会持续70%增长好几年以上这是为什么说我把它跟 Amazon Google 这些公司对比，因为那些公司都是这样的，他们都具备同样的特征。但这个人他的估值不是这样，他更多的是传统那种按照那个 free cash flow 然后再折现那种方式，所以我们是两个流派这个芯片股我不研究，就是我不是说我不想研究但是我的感觉是说我很难成为专家，因为我对这个行业不够了解比如说它的科技跟 Intel、AMD 这几家怎么样的，整个这个行业后面会经历什么大的变动，比如说 Google、Facebook、亚马逊、微软这几家都在做自己的芯片包括 Apple， 那这些对它将来有什么影响这些我实在是搞不明白，所以我通常不会这种非常新的我自己也觉得很难学的行业我就不摄入了。Spotify 会不会成为音频领域的 Netflix？它也在推 Podcast。Spotify 我不知道大家有多大兴趣，因为这家公司值得专门讲一下 OK， 但是现在排的比较满，所以我没有提上日程。我可以大概1分钟讲一下我对它的判断，就是我的感觉，第一个它主要的我以前好像提过一次这个，好像是不是讲 Twitter 那集说过，就是就那个互联网的聚合理论，对吧？就是 Spotify 它原先的那个主营业务那个音乐的 streaming 本身它的那个单位经济效益很差，为什么呢？因为它对它的整合的那些内容没有掌控力。为什么呢？因为比如说 Google 它是因为有成亿上万个不同的网站，所以它一下整合了之后，通过它大家再去搜索，所以它的那个能力就很强。因为没有 Google 搜索，互联网就是 useless， 对吧？大家就是个垃圾场，你要自己去手工记下来你要想去的网站，对吧？每次都要去敲，所以它这个能力就很强，就是为什么是它可以变得那么庞大。Spotify 不可以，因为它主要的是它那个音频的那些 music， 那些音乐80%被世界上好像是四大那个唱片公司所持有，所以意味着说这4大公司每个人的能力然后都超过 Spotify， 所以比如你这个平台要想做 streaming music， 你其中缺了一家你都做不下来，所以意味着说它作为整合者，它的本身议价能力不强，所以它多数的利润都要转给这些音乐公司，它自己拿到就很少，所以它现在要被迫转型去做别的，像那个 podcast 那些播客那些内容，所以它就说主营业务不赚钱，然后要靠副的业务就其他的附加的业务去赚钱， 这有点像那个 FOBO TV 我们讲过的，对吧？所以这样的公司，未来估值肯定会比现在高，因为它的 podcast 啊，因为它本身可以做广告啊，再做别的增长肯定还是有的。但它这种由于它主营业务不赚钱，所以它整体的商业模式肯定排不到特别靠前市场对它比较关注，因为它就是在这个领域是领头羊，而且跟 Apple 什么竞争最近几年表现也不错。但是就它的整个商业模式，我还是觉得不够特别吸引人。OK。对我要的公司，第一个我要自己能力，我要在我的能力之内，我能够判断说这家公司真正有自己核心的技术，通过我个人的体验或者是通过数据上能够看到，我比较有信心做这种判断。第二个呢，我能做到的，我能看的公司是那些未来有100倍甚至1000倍增长的公司，就是说，比如说你在 Google 刚上市的时候，或者你的亚马逊在2000年互联网大跌之后那个时候买入一样，就是那种回报的公司最好。 OK， 所以这样的公司是很少的。 OK， 所以市场上可能总共只有很少的几家，但是有的。 OK， 所以大家现在你看这几大科技巨头每一家都不可一世，但其实这些科技巨头美国它会陆续不断的生产，因为互联网会未来几十年会继续改变我们所有的行业，对吧？所以这些东西这些公司会越来越强，所以我的理解是，未来10年肯定还会有陆续的万亿级别的万亿市值公司上市，就能够进入我们的视野。所以我觉得我的研究主要还是在发现这些公司上。那已经达到几千亿、接近万亿的公司，不是说不可以投，但是说那就只能是非常特别的情况才会考虑，因为就是这些公司再有上千倍的增长，我不是说完全不可能，但是就概率就会小很多。这个是问到 Open Door 说，假如财报前可以预估到 Open Door 当季卖掉多少套房子，是否可以容易估计它的收入？是的，这个但是我通常不会用这些数字来判断自己的东西，因为就第一个我讲一下为什么可以估计因为原因是这样的，在美国多数信息是公开的尤其不牵扯到用户隐私的，所以 Open 到这些 iBuying 这些 platform 这些平台上，他买多少房子卖出多少房子，在美国都有专门的机构，就是在网站都可以查得到。然后当然好像也有例外，有些州或者有些县有些 county 它可能不提供这样的数据，所以你就收集不到。但我的理解是说，多数的州多数的 county 是允许这些是公共信息你可以去查到的。所以其实有很多机构专门会去收集这些网站上的信息，然后做数据的整理，然后出来预估说它比如这几家公司分别买了多少房子卖了多少房子，以及大概的 margin。就是我之前好像有一期视频也讲过，用过它的其中一个估计，但问题是中间往往会有问题，比如说你可能收集的本身不全面，或者是说它本身有别的成本你看不到的，所以你哪怕能比较准确的估计出的收入数，但你也不知道它的毛利会大概怎么样，然后也不知道市场对它预期怎么样，所以这种我大概会看一些，但不会作为我非常重要的判断，然后来用这个来指导我说要不要买或者是卖一个公司的，就是最终的还是回到刚才说的那句话，还是一个定性的分析，说这家公司它的模式能不能持久，它的模式能不能保证它在比如说它现在不盈利 ，Open 到现在没有盈利，但是在什么样的数量之上，它就可以实现盈利，所以这些判断是最重要的。至于每个季度它收入高一点低一点，是不是达到预期了，这不是特别重要的，就是这对短期股价会有重大影响。比如说 Open 到我相信它下周没问题，因为大家现在看股价对它的预期好像都很低，我相信它会很大概率它会证明说这个季度对它来讲的话其实只是另外一个季度而已，并没有什么了不起的，因为公司这种模式已经运行了7、8年了，对不对？而且之前一直运行得很好，管理层也很靠谱，市场会被再一次说证明说它这个模式好像可以，不像 Zillow， 因为大家这叫兔死虎悲嘛，就是 Zillow 失败了，大家如果把这两个看成一类，说你这个失败了，那你肯定也失败，对不对？所以它是这样一起拉下来的。 所以它这个季度至少应该我相信应该可以很大程度上表明我跟它不是一路货，是吧？我是千里马，它是一匹老马 whatever， 所以最后能让市场把这两个分开，说Open Door 确实它的模式跟别人不同，所以这是我需要它证明的，但是它的收入高一点低一点，我相信会超过预期，但是能够超过多少确实不好说。OK。香槟呢？香槟，因为上次我就买了那个很小的20新币的一个最小最便宜的，因为我很少喝酒，因为平时也没有应酬，所以香槟就喝完了，总共只有1杯，但是我因为中国农历新年要做饭，所以我买了几瓶啤酒，最后现在还剩下1瓶，所以这个可以留着下周。如果是我讲一下下周的安排，我好像上次也提过了，因为有3个公司我比较关注的同一天发财报，所以我就不那个6点钟起来跟大家说了。所以在那一天是我看一下哪一天啊？那一天是下周五 ，OK。所以下周五我会比较忙，因为西方石油 Square 跟 Open Door 同时发财报，所以那天我会从上午、下午、晚上都有节目，所以我会做3个分别的视频，会比较累了，就是我会把3个公司看过他的财报，听了他的电话会议之后，做一个简短的介绍的视频发出来，然后到晚上会做一个整个的介绍，然后在线上马上回答大家对这3个公司的问题，所以那天应该照我现在判断应该有4个视频，前面3个就是简单介绍，最后一个就像现在这样的现场问答，但那个的话我就不用跟大家再听那个电话会议了 ，OK， 所以但是建议大家还是要听一下，如果大家有对这个公司感兴趣的话，所以这会是在下周五25号，今天是17号 ，OK。又是一身汗，所以大家如果是没有问题了，我们就今天就到这，谢谢大家的参与，希望大家给我一些反馈，觉得这种形式可不可以？包括那个1.25的倍速，大家是不是觉得太快？因为我平时听的比较快，通常是1.5倍所以大家告诉我一下是太快，还是说还可以再增加一些？第二个就是说，你如果有特别感兴趣的公司，然后想用这种方式一起了解一下。我也可以跟大家一起再做一下 ，OK， 所以我也会选择一下，比如之前已经发了财报的公司，我看我之前哪个是提过的，然后需要跟大家讲一下有没有什么新的内容 ，OK， 我会考虑也做类似的形式。然后昨天不好意思，因为那个临时加的那个直播，今天我提前几个小时给大家发了通知，好像参加的就比较多，所以我以后还是尽可能的至少提前半天通知大家 ，OK， 所以我们就这样 Shopify 就是这样了 ，OK， 所以总体我对这家公司没有那么负面，我可能听起来比较批评比较多，但是就是说批评的，我希望大家能感觉到为什么批评，但是总体我觉得这家公司并不是像潘任天那种就是完全靠疫情管理层确实有比较大问题的这种本身质量一般的公司，这家公司总体质量还是不错的 ，OK， 好吧，那我们就这样，然后不知道哪天见了，我看明天要不要再做类似的一家公司，大家如果有特别看好的公司或者特别感兴趣的，欢迎大家留言 ，OK， 谢谢，晚安。